Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Shotar Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Shotar Shata Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Mathura Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Rupanuga Vedic College Dham Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. A reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, the third canto, part 1, chapter 1. Are we on text 28 today? Okay, text 28. Kachid weather, Varuta of the military, Adhipati, commander-in-chief, Yadunam of the Yadus, Pradyumnaha, the son of Krishna named Pradyumna, Aste is happy, Anga, O Uddhava, Viraha, the great warrior, Yam, whom, Rukmini, the wife of Krishna named Rukmini, Bhagavataha, from the personality of Godhead, Abhilebehe, got as a prize, Aradhya, pleasing, Vipran, prominence, Smaram, Cupid, Kamadev, Adisarge, in his previous life, Kachit Varuta Dipatir Yadunam, Pradyumnaste Sukhamanga Viraha, Yam Rukmini Bhagavato Balibe Aradhya Vibran Smaram Adisarge Kachit Varuta Dipatir Yadunam Pradyumna Aste Sukhamanga Vira Yam Rukmini Bhagavato Balibe Aradhya Viparan Smaram Aradhya Vipran Smaram Adisarge. Okay, we already did the word for word, so we'll go on to the translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Kachit.
Kachit Varuta Dipati Yadunam.
Oh, sorry.
Ajumnaste Sukhamanga Viraha.
Aste Sukhamanga Vira.
Yam Rukmini Bhagavato Bilebhe. Araja Vipran Smaramadi Sarge.
Araja Vipran Smaramadi Sarge.
Kachir Varuta Dipate Yadunam Pradyumnaste Sukhamanga Viraha Yam Rukmini Bhagavato Vilebe Aradhya Vipran Smaramadi Sarge
Kachid Varuta Hipatir Yaduna Pradyumna Aste Sukhamanga Viraha Yang Rukmini Bhagavato Bhidebhe Aradhya Vipran Smaramadi Sarge.
Gachidvaruta Dipatir Yadunam Pradyumna Aste Sukham Anga Viraha Yam Rukmini Bhagavato Balebe Aradha Vipran Smaramadi Sarge.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. O Uddhava, please tell me, how is Pradyumna, the commander-in-chief of the Yadus, who was Cupid in a former life? Rukmini bore him as her son from Lord Krishna, by the grace of Brahmanas whom she pleased. Purport. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, Smara, Cupid or Kamadev, is one of the eternal associates of Lord Krishna. Jiva Goswami has explained this very elaborately in his treatise, Krishna Sandarbha. Maharaj, would you kindly speak on this verse? I'm not so learned on this subject matter.
He's in a previous lifetime, Pradyumna was Cupid. Cupid, Kamadev, is the personality that causes lust. He's the god of love or lust. And when he applies himself, the persons to whom he applies himself, they become influenced by lust. He said he has 5 types of arrows, and going along with the touch and taste and smell and different sensory activities that bring about lust. And he was employed by the demigods to help them acquire a son from Lord Shiva, because they wanted to get a son from Lord Shiva because he's so powerful, and they wanted his son to become the commander-in-chief of the demigods' army, because the demons were defeating them, and so they thought this was the only way they could do it. So Lord Shiva was in meditation, and he had lost his wife, Sati, because she immolated herself in the Daksha Yajna, or before that. And so Lord Shiva was without wife. He was in meditation. So the demons, or the demigods, they requested Kamadev, Pradyumna, to go and inspire him to become filled with some desire for conjugal love. So Pradyumna did that. He was always successful. And he shot his arrows. And Lord Shiva he felt some lust coming in. And he was wondering, how does it happen? I'm in meditation. I shouldn't be becoming lustful now. And he looked around and he saw Pradyumna, or Kamadev, Cupid, and he became very angry. So he killed him. Lord Shiva is so powerful, he killed. So in the material world, everyone is under the influence of lust. Nobody can. Even Brahma is liable to be affected by lust. It is said that only the incarnation of Narayan, they were not influenced by lust. They or he. Everyone else has this. But if one becomes attracted to Krishna, then he can replace the desire for mundane lust, which means to try to enjoy one's own senses. And his lust becomes love for Krishna, who's more attractive than Kamadev. we sing in the morning, or Lord Brahma sings that Krishna is more attractive than, Govinda is more attractive than thousands of cupids. And if one meditates on Krishna and his eyebrows, lotus feet, all parts, all his aspects, then lust will be destroyed and purified. Lust is not actually a pure substance, it's an impure substance, it's a contamination of the love that living entities have for Krishna, and Krishna has for his. Krishna's love doesn't become contaminated by anything. But in the material world, the living entities, they can become contaminated because they're so small. Anu and Maya is very strong. Maya is engaging her different assistants, lust, anger, greed, etc., in her service to bewilder the living entities. So when Kamadev Cupid shoots his 5 arrows, everyone becomes affected. But Lord Shiva was very angry that this happened to him. So he destroyed him with his glance. And then he took the position as Pradyumna. He was born from Krishna and Rukmini. Rukmini was Krishna's first wife. And they had a beautiful son, Pradyumna, but somehow or other that son, when he was just an infant, he was kidnapped, or he disappeared from the house, from the palace, and they couldn't find him. No one knew what happened to him. What had happened was he was captured by a demon, Shambhara. And the way he was captured was the demon, he caught him in the night and he threw him into the ocean. Dwarka's on the ocean. They threw him in the ocean and it was supposed that he drowned. At least that's what the demon thought. But he didn't drown. He was swallowed by a big fish. And the big fish was caught by a fisherman. And later on, that fish was sold to Shambhara through his cooks. He ate fish and meat and other things like that. So Pradyumna, a little baby, was caught in the big fish. He was alive. So when the cooks were cutting up the fish, they found this little baby inside. And it so happened that Mayavati, she was an assistant in the cook's kitchen. She made dal and rice. And she was formerly Rati. She was formerly the wife of Lord of Kamadev, of Cupid. So she was naturally attracted to Pradyumna, even in that childlike form. And she decided that she would take charge of that baby, because who's going to take charge of the baby? So she took the baby, and the child grew up very quickly, practically instantly. And although she was treating the child like a baby in the beginning, when he grew to adulthood, he was extremely attractive, and because they were eternal associates or repetitive associates, so she became attracted to him. And then it turned out that she told him what happened, how in previous life she had memory of all this. She told him that he was kidnapped, and he became inspired to do what he's supposed to do, kill that demon, Shambhara. So there was a great fight, and ultimately he won, and later on he returned, and Rukmini, who was feeling great anxiety having lost her son, and this is after many years, and when she saw Pradyumna grown, he looked just like Krishna. And she thought, if my son if he were living, he would look like this, because it had been about that much time for him to be grown. So anyway, turned out that was the fact. And so he was a great warrior. And so that's a little story about Pradyumna and the Cupid. For the devotees, Krishna is the Cupid. He's the one that inspires love of Krishna. And if one becomes inspired by Krishna, then he loses taste for the Cupid of the material world.
Hi. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I'll read the translation again. O Uddhava, please tell me, how is Pradyumna, the commander-in-chief of the Yadus, who was Cupid in a former life? Rukmini bore him as her son from Lord Krishna, by the grace of Brahmanas whom she pleased. So, Shri Shri Gaurnita ki jai. So Maharaj was talking a bit about lust. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, lust is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So Maharaj touched on what to do with this lust, that it is in fact a perverted reflection of real love for Krishna. So everything in this material world, in fact, is a perverted reflection of the real thing in the spiritual world. In this world, we're just given a cheap imitation. It's like a wax museum. We can't actually get real enjoyment out of it. It's actually stale. And until we put Krishna in the center of the activities that we're doing, there will not be any real satisfaction at all. So we're trying to teach this science to people to whatever degree that they're willing to accept it. And in that way, if they can just accept putting Krishna first in one of their daily activities, then they can see, okay, the devotee, the monk that I met, he told me to say these prayers over my food and offer my food to Krishna. He told me how to do it, and I'm going to try that out. He does that for 1 month's time, and he sees, I'm actually satisfied by the food that I eat now. I'm actually preparing my dish with the intention of, trying to cook for Krishna. I'm going to the grocery store. I'm thinking about Krishna a lot more. So let me implement it in different ways, because I see I was never satisfied when I was eating, actually. But now that I'm doing it for Krishna as an offering of love, there's another level of satisfaction there. So this person, he then develops a higher taste, and he might seek out association of devotees who have also developed that taste, so he can learn other ways to put Krishna first. But due to the influence of Maya, he may fall away from that. He does, in fact, have a lot of conditioning. And when he chooses to put the illusory energy before Krishna, then he, in fact, incurs a karmic reaction for that activity. And we're constantly making karma when we're operating on this platform of serving Maya. And it really wears us down actually when we're in the material world and we're constantly creating different reactions for ourselves in all the different circumstances. And then we incur a slew of problems, both mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and materially, because we're busy making all of this good and bad karma. It's keeping us entangled. Even if we're very, very pious naturally and we're incurring all of this good karma, we're doing charitable activities, different things, we're still being really bound by it. Because when somebody gets bound by the mode of goodness, they think that I'm in knowledge, they think that, I'm happy, I'm satisfied, I don't need God. Why would I surrender anything? I am God, in fact. So this is also Maya. Maya works in mysterious ways. She's always there at every step. We have to be very, very careful. And we have to be very careful not to just have a judge, not to have a judgment on other jiva souls for their position that they're in, but to just see things as they are in accordance with Shastra as Krishna gives us and be able to actually just identify it, not get so emotionally attached to what it is, but just see it as for what it is and know that, okay, this is a product of ignorance, or this is a product of, passion, or this is a product of goodness. And then you can actually see how you can interact with the situation. If Kali is present, and, you know, Krishna willing, somebody is in heavy ignorance or something like that, the Madhyama Adhikari, he can perceive this, and he knows, okay, maybe best just not to act, like that. So this comes with reading the scriptures and trying to implement this into our lives. You can start to be able to see where people are at on book distribution and amongst devotional communities and in the street, and you meet people. So that's nice to look forward to. So Maharaj was talking about Kamadev, or Cupid, and we're chanting the Lord Krishna's name. And Krishna means the most attractive. So I'm thinking of, when Maharaj was talking about this, I was thinking of Lord Chaitanya. The boy Nimai, he was wandering through Navadvip, and when he was wandering, all of the different um, people in the village, they were going on with their normal profession, and he went across many different marketers or salespeople, different community members, and he was wandering one by one, and he went up to a garland maker and he said, "My dear sir, I would like a nice garland. I see you make all these nice garlands. And the garland maker gave him one and said he saw how attractive he was as a boy, and he said, "You don't need to pay me now. It's no big deal. You don't have any money. You can just wear the garland, and if you're satisfied, you can pay me in a few days." And the garland maker was very pleased that such a beautiful person would wear his garland. And then he went on with his walk, and he went on to the next person, and he came across the perfumer, and the perfumer, he just thought it was Cupid himself that was coming and visiting him. He thought it was Kamadev. So he said, "You can take whatever perfume fits you. You're the most beautiful, most attractive boy I've ever seen." And he gave him the perfume, and he said, "If this one suits you nicely, you can pay me in a few days, or don't pay me at all. It's okay." And just like this, he went one by one to all these different markets, and a lot of them saw him as Cupid. The villagers, they see him as their whatever is most dear. If they're very infected with lust in a degree, they're going to see him as Cupid. Or if they're if they're great worshippers of Lord Ramachandra and Sita, they're going to think he's Lord Ramachandra. They saw him as this because he was the most attractive, so you automatically think he's the highest thing that you could think of. If this is the most attractive little boy I've ever seen, then automatically you think, this is Cupid, or this must be Lord Ramachandra himself that's come. Or some people were thinking it was Shiva and Parvati, like when the Lord was getting married. They thought, this is Shiva and Parvati themselves, or this is Ramachandra and Sita, because this boy is so beautiful, he's the most attractive. So he precedes any form of mundane lust. Meditating on his form precedes any form of mundane lust. I mean, Kamadeva is an associate of Krishna, an eternal associate of Krishna. They're friends. So this would be nice if you notice lust comes up. You can say, well, Krishna's always with his friends. So Krishna's right there too, with his friend Kamadeva as lust. And they go together, but you have to use whatever propensity that is coming, whatever lust is coming, you have to target it at pleasing. The friend wants to please the other friend. Kamadev wants to please Krishna. So when he comes up, when we see that he's coming in our hearts and in our minds, then we can think, okay, let me use it to please his best friend. So if we can just engage whatever we do in the service of Krishna, you know, it's not an artificial lifestyle, this Krishna consciousness. It's meant to be implemented to our life. So when we're starting out, we can, after many years of being in the mire of illusion in the material world, we can just think, okay, what sort of propensities was I engaging in Maya, in which way? And we can try to develop some remorse for engaging in those activities, but we can pay attention to our nature a bit. Okay, I really, really like to read. I'm a big bookworm, for example. Somebody would read all types of different novels. So when they come to Krishna consciousness, remember that and just engage that in Krishna. Or I really like to listen to podcasts and different talk shows, and so just engage that, listen to different lectures from the Swamis from ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada. So like that, we can kind of do a little analyzing of, okay, what were some of the things that were kind of my natural propensities before Krishna consciousness, and because your natural propensities, they're dictated even in the shastras, even in the Jyotir shastras, even in the astrology, both in the Western and the Eastern view. Both of them will share, like your birth charts and stuff, will share a lot of your natural propensities. It's interesting to see something like this sometimes, because we might think I'm crazy, or something like this, but uh, that reflects, especially when you're behaving in accordance with, the Vedic lifestyle. Those natural kind of propensities come out, and the spiritual master, he knows how to engage the disciple according to that, so he's most fulfilled in his service to Krishna, and so he can help others come to serve Krishna, and we can try to think of Krishna together, do things for Krishna together. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Okay, thank you for kindly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai.